Hello and welcome to another Starcraft 2 England stream. This game is between LiquidRet and SonG. SonG is a Terran player who is going to be in the south position here as a red Terran, and LiquidRet is the blue Zerg in the north position. This is a replay from the Team Liquid replay pack for LiquidRet released on the 17th of February. Absolutely fantastic. They are talking about streaming, so I guess LiquidRet feeling a bit charitable by letting... They are both streaming, so SonG is apparently going to try and plug his stream, which can't blame him. LiquidRet's a very popular player. So he won't actually get first scout. I think it is the ladder match, so the ladder map rather of Antigua Shipyard, so they could be spawning in any position, but they have actually got cross spawns, which a lot of the tournaments are favouring cross spawn positions, just because, especially on these maps with rotational symmetry, it can cause quite a few problems in certain matchups depending on spawn positions. I mean, a specific example could be Protoss versus Zerg. If Protoss spawns down here, then obviously any kind of drop or airplay, it's a very short distance there, which means the third for the Zerg player can be incredibly difficult to take. It is interesting, but I mean, most tournament maps do keep it as cross positions only, which is interesting and doesn't really matter because this isn't a tournament match. So we've got barracks coming down now, not actually forming a wall off, which is quite surprising, but the refinery is down as well, so we'll probably see a factory go straight into the wall off, although that would suggest that he's not actually going to go for the reactor from the barracks, so a bit peculiar, but whatever. A 15 pool hatch did go down for Ret, and we're probably going to see a 16 pool as well, which is a very, very standard, safe opening against Terran. They can't really put any pressure on unless they do something really unexpected, which is quite all-in-ish, such as a proxy 2 racks. And if they do that, then it's still not too hard to hold with just drones. So drones, for any Zerg player who don't know, are pretty damn good. They can hold pretty much any early pressure and are not much worse than Zerglings. They are a bit, obviously, but not hugely. Getting a second supply depot, so Marines are on their way out now, and this Marine straight away going out, so he's going to try and snipe this Overlord, and may actually manage to do it, which would be quite a lot for LiquidRet at this very early stage in the game, and will supply block him. So that 100 minerals at this stage of the game can be quite a lot, and I mean, as long as he waits, unless LiquidRet is very quick, I think that Overlord will now go down, but might just survive, we'll wait and see. The hatch is now just finishing for LiquidRet. He's getting both queens out straight away, and that's really a nice timing thing. If you get the hatch on 15 and then the pool on 16, you can get 2 queens the second the hatch finishes, which means you sync up nicely with all their energies in the late game. It just injects a nice cycle as opposed to kind of doing one than the other. We are going to see reactor Hellions almost certainly, although no wall off, and I don't know why SonG isn't going for a wall off, but we will wait and see if there's any specific reason. But that means the Zerglings will be able to get in to scout. So these Zerglings are going to go in, I think. He's just checking, or he might stay back in the watchtower. So actually no, deciding not to. There are 2 Marines there, so I guess they could deny any scouting pretty easily, or would take some quite heavy losses. And Red actually taking 1 inject and a creep tumor, and I think he might actually go for a double creep tumor, keeping both these queens nicely for, getting a 3rd queen as well, purely for creep spread or an expansion. Now this creep spread early on is really important, especially against reactor Hellions, and a starport actually finishing up now, so we may see some really early drop play, and that can be really effective, because one of the only ways Zerg players can effectively deal with Hellions is to use spine crawlers and queens at the front of the base. Now those queens actually did get quite a few nice hits off on that Hellion, getting great creep spread, and all 3 staying forward, so he's expecting clearly a lot of Hellion play, but I mean currently he's just getting that medevac straight out, so we're almost certainly going to see a drop come in really early. And as I was saying, this spine crawler comes out really near the front to protect from Hellions running in along with these 2 queens. But if we come and look at the back here, there's nothing here, there's hardly any Zerglings on the field, no speed even started yet. So a drop of Hellions and Marines in the main base, which it is going to be, oh no, it's actually just going to be plain Marines, although that is surprising. I'm surprised he didn't go for dropping the Hellions in the base as well. Although there's quite a few Zerglings coming out now. There is Lair on the way, and that's pretty much it for LiquidRet at the moment. Great creep spread, but I mean, I don't think he even has any vision, and this medevac can just drop straight in here, and from this position LiquidRet is going to have no idea it's coming. He's just made a whole wave of drones, has got some lava left over, and speed is finished up, but I mean that drop's going to go down perfectly. He may even drop up those Hellions now as well, and that would be very effective. I'll wait and see if he does, because I think that is what he's going to do. He's just going to come and drop those straight up. The drones will scout it, but that's going to go straight down, and there's so many units up here. No spine crawler. The queens have been pulled back. That overlord will go straight away down, and it won't supply block rep, but some Zerglings are going to go straight down to the Hellions. All the drones being pulled now, and that's a great surround. LiquidRet has surrounded those perfectly. The spine crawler isn't going to go down though, and there's going to be huge losses for LiquidRet here, pulling all of the drones. But if we take a quick look at the loss tab, it's not actually as bad as I thought, surprisingly. Only 4 workers killed by SonG there, but 18 units. So if we actually just go to the loss tab, it actually came off worse for SonG there, and obviously his economy is really shot because he delayed that expansion, and it looks like a counterattack is just going to come straight in now from LiquidRet, and there's 4 Marines to hold it. It's not going to hold it, but a Banshee is out, so theoretically a Banshee can kill an infinite amount of Marines, but a Spire is also on the way. All those Marines will go down, and I'm surprised that Ret isn't just going for it, because he can deny that expansion. I mean, there are some Hellions out now, but that wall-off isn't down. The natural expansion has to go down. A good shot off by those Hellions. The Banshee will force them back, and there's no cloak for the Banshee. A second Banshee actually coming down now, but obviously the Spire's finishing up. It's about half done, so by the time the Banshees actually get over there, they won't be able to target down the Spire in time. There's a lot of Queens out. The third base, I'd imagine, will be taken quite soon by Rep, but he's already very far ahead economically. And now a armory coming down as well, so that could be for upgrades, but I think it's much more likely that... Actually, I don't know what's likely at this point. It's a very strange build, and all those Hellions are going to get cleaned up. I mean, that was good. It seems like it's going to be some kind of mass Hellion, Banshee, and Marauder, apparently. Because he is now getting a tech lab, which would be quite effective, although with the Spire out, there's nothing which can shoot up. So he may actually just go for Stim and get Marines, but either way it could be interesting. He is going for another tech lab, a double tech. Oh no, the tech lab was just built for this factory, so we'll see what goes on there. The Banshees are going to come in now. They aren't going to be able to do much damage because there's obviously a lot of Queens. A Bailing Nest only just starting for TLO now, but 7 Mutalisks are on the way, so those Banshees are going to have a very, very short shelf life. They're going to be basically organic products, where if you don't eat them within a couple of days, they go off. But, I mean, these Mutalisks are now going to go in. They will kill both of those Banshees, and that was quite a big investment, actually, for SonG, who is getting 2 Thors now. So, well, it's going to be a pure mech army, which isn't bad by any means, but obviously building up this mech army, his drop failed a lot. It didn't do any damage. The Thors will counter the Mutalisks very well. I mean, if it's unlucky, those Mutalisks will pick off the Hellions. They are going to. They did see him. So, unfortunately, those Hellions could well die, although deciding against it, which means the Thors will be able to get out in time. This second base is mining nicely now for SonG, although the third base for Ret is getting saturated. He's getting 15 more drones out, so he knows he can drone heavily. Good injects going off. There is an evolution chamber just starting. The +1 ground armor, +1 attack for air units is coming out. But, I mean, with Thors coming out now, that means the Mutalisks are going to do nothing. And, oh, these are the Collector Edition Thors. So, SonG bought the Collector's Edition pack, which does nothing much apart from make Thors look a little bit more awesome. We've got some Mutalisks coming in now, and those Thors are going to get some good hits off, but magic boxing the Mutalisks, but the Marines there as well will force them back. So the Thor doesn't go down now, it can get repaired up. And, I mean, Blue Flame is on its way. Roach Warren is down, so Roaches are the best counter to a mech army. Purely because Roaches do a lot of damage, take hardly any damage from Hellions, and Thors aren't actually that good. If you focus down the Thors with Hellions, it's surprisingly effective. But this is going to be a big 2-base push, and I mean, this army is starting to get quite sizable. He is getting another Thor out, 4 Thors already. I would imagine the +1 arm weapons is just finishing up, so he might actually go there. He's got Blue Flames, so Zerglings will be completely ineffective. Mutalisks won't do well against so many Thors. even with magic boxing. There's a lot of roaches out though, so I don't think the LiquidRet will have a problem. Quite a few SCVs pulled with this as well to repair it all. And it'll be interesting to see. That gold base I don't think will last. If anything, that gold base will go down. A couple of Mutalisks are going to take damage, but there's no clumping, so there's not going to be a huge amount of splash. A lot of Hellions though. They are all blue flame Hellions as well, and that means the Zerglings will do pretty much nothing. The roaches are up, but +1 armor isn't even done for the roaches yet. The +1 attack is done for the Thors, so there's a very small window of opportunity of which SonG can attack. He's getting some good hits off on the Mutalisks, which are trying to magic box, but there are just so many Thors. But that's really stopping them actually being able to attack the roaches. The roaches should now start focus firing down the Thors, and they are going to melt. Thor, beautiful Thor micro there with the medevac, just picking up the Thor for a split second. Just moving them back, doing absolute maximum damage. Beautiful, beautiful micro by SonG. This, wow, that micro by SonG is absolutely incredible. But it will get cleaned up by Rep, but I mean that micro really made those Thors worth every penny. And now this is really the trouble with the Mech army from Terran. His drop initially failed, didn't do enough damage but cost him a lot economically, whereas now he's so far behind that after losing that Mech army from possibly a bit too much of an early push, means that LiquidRet is going to be so far ahead in the economy that he can just mass up on roaches, and the Mech army for a Terran player only really gets effective when it massively outnumbers, or gets to a really good supply point really, not necessarily outnumbers, but once it builds up into that death ball, it can become quite difficult for Zerg players to manage. But I mean, this army is just going to come in, and 4 Thors are out, but I don't think they are going to be able to hold against this many roaches. And as I thought, but again, great micro. The micro being done here is incredible, but there's just too many roaches, and to be honest, this is pretty much a good game. There is nothing out now for SonG to deal with, and there's the GG. So it was a bit risky by SonG. That initial push he did with the drop up onto the high ground needed to do more damage. It had the potential to be very, very effective, but because it wasn't, because LiquidRet dealt with it so fantastically, it meant the delay on SonG's natural base was just too long, and going into Mech after that wasn't necessarily a bad decision, but that push I personally think wasn't wise. The push wasn't strong enough to deal with that army, and once your Mech army dies as a Terran player, it just takes too long to build it back up, especially with such a low economy. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the game. LiquidRet obviously has released a couple more replays. One I've already cast. I'm going to try and cast the rest because LiquidRet is actually one of my favourite players. And if you enjoyed, please click subscribe, leave any comments you have. Obviously, I'm constantly trying to improve my casting, make it better. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you tune in again soon.